Hello again, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition of Because They Matter. Delighted to have you on board. I'm Scott.
I'm Stacy.
And believe it or not, we have someone else along that is a very, very special lady today or all year. How about that? Rhiannon, good to see you, my friend. How are you?
So good to see you. I am just ecstatic to be here, our first episode of the new year, and excited to talk about what I've got going on these past couple of weeks.
Well, I want you to tell the world what you've been doing the last couple of weeks. What have you become since we saw you last year? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the Windy City of Chicago. Yes, indeed, she is
Miss Chicago 2025.
Our own Rhiannon Graham.
Isn't that something?
Wow, I'm so proud, excited. I feel like I'm over the moon.
So next up is the Miss Illinois pageant to see who will go on to Miss America. Oh my gosh. So this is just the beginning. Oh,
I got goosebumps when you just said that.
Well, I can understand why. I think I'd get goosebumps too if I was a female and found out that I had just been named Miss Chicago and knew that I had a chance to go on to Miss Illinois and maybe Miss America. Boy, that would be something, wouldn't it?
Yes. Oh my goodness. It would just be a win for single families, truly.
Well, tell us, before we talk about single families, is of course what we always talk about here on Because They Matter, let's talk about where you have been and what you've done. Stace and I'd like to really know what it's like. Neither one of us have been Miss or Mr. I was Man of the Year in the, or not Man of the Year.
You were Dad of the Year.
Dad of the Year in the great state of Texas, but that was back about 20 years ago. So my kids were much smaller than they are now. But that was a lot of fun, and that was the ultimate award to be named Dad of the Year. That was wonderful. But I can only imagine what it's like to be named Miss of whatever city it might be. But my gosh, Chicago, it doesn't get much bigger than that. New York, LA, that's about it. And so what's it been like? What was it like? Congratulations again, but tell us all about it.
Thank you so much. Yes, so for those that don't know, the Miss America opportunity, the first phase of competition that we go through is a private interview with a panel of 6 judges. That's 8.5 minutes long, so we start the interview by having an opening statement to share about what our community service initiative is about. So mine is about single families. And then after the interview is completed, we have on-stage question, a fitness portion, talent, where I baton twirl, and then we have evening gown. So I had the most amazing time with 14 of my sisters that competed for the 3 titles of Miss Cook County, Miss Windy City, and Miss Chicago. And it was actually my 13th local in the Miss America opportunity. So I think that sends a message to everyone that has a dream to never give up on it, because you never know how many times it might take you.
Yeah, and a lucky 13. How about that?
My mom's favorite number, too.
Very, very cool. So as you look back now, just on all that you were a part of, what's the one thing that makes you proudest, or that stands out, or that will literally be your legacy someday?
So I shared with the judges in my interview, to be her, you have to see her. Over 90% of our Chicago public school district students are being raised by a single parent. And as our current Miss Chicago, I'm excited to be in their classrooms with my Success Plan curriculum, while also widespreading my free resources and website throughout Chicago, so ultimately no single family in Chicago or Illinois or America goes through their struggles alone.
Hear, hear. I'm so excited.
Yep.
I'm so excited too. It's literally still so surreal. I keep watching my crowning video back to make sure that it really happened. Like, I keep feeling like I'm in a dream. So I'm just really honored. It's really emotional for me to have this opportunity.
Well, here's another single parent right here. It was raised by a single parent and is also a single parent on her own, so knows a thing or two. Created single parent advocate and continues every single day to make a difference in the lives of those children that need it most. And so she can certainly identify with it. My degree's in psychology. I was studying to be a pediatrician, so still to this day spend a lot of time, working with young people. And I can't tell you the number of single parents out there and the single parent children, more than ever before. So we really need to make the commitment. And of course, we'll talk about that a little more in the program. But Stace and I wanted to talk to you just about where you have endured and what you've been a part of late. Yeah. So how about questions for, you were never Miss Chicago that I know of, right?
No, I'm just Miss Thang.
Miss.
We love that title.
Yeah, that's what we call way too much information in my family. So how about it? What questions might you have?
Questions, as I heard you talking, of course, I'm been really privileged to, get with you and talk about your success roadmap for the children of single parents. And we've compared that with the success roadmap that I have for parents. Even on this show, I think we've dug into that quite a bit. But, as I think about, what my questions are for you, I'd love to just have you walk us through what it was like on the inside as you were going through this, because I've been beside you now, and certainly Scott has too, for about a year and a half, working on about a year and a half, and really encouraging you to stay the course and honoring you and your mom and your family. But as you're going through your fitness and you're going through your baton twirling, can you just walk us through a day in the life of Miss Chicago? Like, what was that day like? When were you confident? When did you really rely on your community? And what lesson learned did you have to share with all of us on that? Because I wish I had been there, and I'm dying to know.
Oh, yes. Well, I'll give you some inside info that you'll actually probably relate to, Stacy. So the night before, we had rehearsal. So my mom and I are driving down to Chicago. We live probably about 30 minutes, so we're in the suburbs here, from the downtown and Chicago area. And as we're driving down there, our car breaks down.
Of course.
Smoke comes out the engine. And total single mom thing. Total single mom thing. We had no one to call. We're stranded. And really, I just said, God, if you want me to be there, we're going to get there. So the car made it there.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Yes, totally. So then the next day, we tried to drive my car to the venue on Saturday, and my car breaks down on the way there to Miss Chicago. So total single parent thing. So we ended up borrowing. So we were on car 3 to get to Miss Chicago. But I totally just feel like it was in God's hands ultimately, and I very much relied on my preparation. A lot of people don't know, but we do a lot of preparation as pageant girls, mock interviews. I'm at the gym or the field house probably every single day practicing my talent of baton twirling. I twirl to the song Survivor. It's a rendition of Destiny's Child. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to fight harder.
Way to go. Great song.
Which is very much my life story. And then also working out, fitness, and balancing a healthy lifestyle of walking my dog Biscuit, eating healthy meals, lifting weights. And then on top of that, it's all in the little details too of practicing my walk on stage for evening gown. And just making sure I am the best version and better than I was yesterday.
Well, the art of walking, is a thing, because when we get all, nervous and everything, we kind of pick up the pace and we're kind of leaning forward, and we're like a little racetrack lady instead of a beauty queen. Like, maybe walk me through what goes through your head as you take those steps so carefully. I mean, I dance for a hobby, and I really have to watch that, and a lot of time taking a look at my reflection to see, how I look and what that feels like, and matching those together. That by itself is an entire lesson in life. So maybe let's start there.
Yeah. So in your head, you're just like, okay, we're really doing this, lock in, like this is the time. And I always have to tell myself in my head, slow down. They say I got advice once. If you think you're going slow, you're not going slow enough, go slower on that stage, because that's really your time to show the judges, whether it's fitness, talent, or even speaking slower in interviews. That's your time to articulate to the judges that you're ready for this opportunity. You're ready for this job. And ultimately, that's what I did, and I really think that was from my preparation, not only for the categories, but also working with my CSI, Single But Not Alone, launching our website, providing the free resources, the podcast we're doing today. All those things wrapped into one is why the reason I ultimately became your Miss Chicago.
Let me ask you this. When did you think that you had won this thing? Certainly.
Oh, I did it. I did it. It was a big shock. So they actually gave 3 titles out. They gave a Miss Cook County, Miss Windy City, and a Miss Chicago.
Now, weren't you Miss Windy City at one time?
And Miss Cook County.
Okay, Miss Cook County.
Miss Windy City. Yep, and then Miss Chicago.
Okay.
Which was the name of the organization. So there was 14 girls, and I was thinking to myself going in, I would not want to be a judge. I have no idea how these judges are going to pick of these 14 girls who are so educated, involved in their communities, smart, beautiful. I just can't even imagine that I was the one they picked. So when I was standing up there and they hadn't announced the Chicago title yet, I was like, okay, well, Miss Illinois has a thing called at-large, where you can go as an at-large title holder. And I was like, well, we might have to do that this year. And then sure enough, they called delegate number 6, Rhiannon Graham, which was me. And it was just a very emotional moment. And it felt like all the late nights, all the time perfecting my talent, looking at the details, working with single families, it really felt like in that moment that it just all paid off. So it's very emotional, but.
Well, your tenacity and your mom's tenacity are absolutely inspiring, because in working with single parents a lot, and sometimes their children too, if they had 2 car breakdowns and we were doing a food distribution or handing out gifts or, trying to help families through the holidays like we did this past Christmas, they just go back home.
Yeah.
And so staying the course, sticking with it, never giving up. I mean, wow. And, that in and of itself, to me, you should wear a crown just for that, Miss Rhiannon.
Oh, well, Thank you. My mom, literally when it happened, my mom looked at me and she goes, God's got something good in store for you.
Because the world's fighting it. Yeah.
Yeah, because the world's fighting it. She was like, something good's coming, So we fought through it. And just like we have every obstacle in our life that we have since I was 4 years old and she became a single parent. So that's just a little kind of funny story of, on the way to become Miss Chicago. We were on car 3.
You know what, though? That I have all the respect in the world for certainly for you in all that you have spoken about and shared with us here this morning. But above that, the fact that your mother would say that, because that's the thing. Never give up. Never, ever give up.
That's right.
Just stay positive, productive, and move forward in the most purposeful way you can do. And you did.
Yeah.
And what happened? You were named Miss Chicago.
Yeah, and I hope that's the type of Miss Chicago that I am. That's the legacy that I want to leave, is not to give up on your dreams. That hard work and dedication pays off. So
what do you do now as Miss Chicago? What kind of lies ahead during the course of the next year?
Yeah, so I'm excited to continue this podcast, obviously. But like I mentioned, too, I'm excited to get in our public school districts. That's one of my main things, is to inspire the next generation of students and set them up so they're not facing those statistics of not graduating high school, being addicted to substances, and struggling with their mental health alone. That's one of my biggest things, is to impact the Chicago youth, but also widespreading our resources throughout Illinois, and just continuing to be the positive role model that grew up in a single-parent household that I wish I would have had to look up to.
Okay, makes sense. So do us a favor. For Stacy and for me and for our entire audience right now, I would like you to pretend that you're just walking in the door. You've just been introduced by the teacher of the class that you're going to speak to. So what is the message that you're going to share? Whether we're in 5th grade, whether we're in 9th grade, or whether we're graduating seniors, what's the message that you, as a graduating senior a few years ago, is now going to share with all of these people as Miss Chicago?
You can be successful no matter what your household looks like, how you grew up, if your parents are divorced or if they're together. Do not let your family and your environment define you. You can overcome those statistics and overcome those odds, and through the success plan and following that, you truly will overcome that.
Okay, so what do you say to the kids? Hi, how are you? It's good to see you. Give us a little spiel.
Yeah, so I actually come with a PowerPoint prepared, but of course I introduce myself, and a lot of times I like to start with a Q&A, especially for when I visit younger classrooms. They tend to have a lot of questions. For instance, one time when I walked in a classroom, one of the students, a couple of them actually, were telling me happy birthday. They were like, happy birthday, we're so excited you're here. And I was like, I told the teacher, I'm like, it's not my birthday. Why are they telling me happy birthday? And she said that at their school, on their birthdays, they get crowns and sashes. So they thought that it was my birthday. Yeah, so a lot of times with the younger audience, I like to just open it up with a Q&A and get their questions taken care of before we really get into the success plan curriculums, because they tend to have a lot of questions. And I'm very happy to answer them always, and they're just adorable and so sweet.
So at the end of your conversation with them, you say, okay, so remember Bing. So how do you wrap it up? What do you say to them?
that they can do whatever they put their minds to. And another thing I always do is I always leave the window open for communication with me. I give them my social media handles so they can reach out to me. I actually had one high school student reach out to me that wanted to go to college, but she didn't think she could because she didn't know how to apply for scholarships. She didn't know about FAFSA. And we were able to work through FAFSA and how to apply for scholarships. And then she shared the news that she was actually going to Illinois State University the next time I talked to her because of that experience. So that's the impact that I think I'm excited to leave as your next Miss Chicago.
Oh, that's incredible. That's like you, Scott, you and all your scholarships with the Scott Murray Scholarship Foundation.
Yeah, we might have to talk, Scott.
Well, it's funny. I have here on my phone, I was emceeing the Armed Forces Bowl, which is a big bowl game every year. And so I was at the Omni Hotel, and there's 750 people, and they had a big luncheon and everybody. And it was, let's see, this year it was, I'm trying to think of the two teams. It was Navy and whatever.
I'm a dancer.
But at any rate, yeah. So it was great. So all of a sudden I'm walking through and this fella comes up to me, and he's standing next to a woman, and she's about 30 years old, and he didn't look much older than that. And then there was another couple, and they said, "You're Scott Murray." I said, "I am. How are you?" He said, "I was one of your scholar athletes." I said, "What?" He said, I was a Scott Murray Scholar Athlete of the Week, and I was on your show, and you told me that I could believe in myself, basically many of the things that you've just shared with us today. And I said, "Well, that's great." He said, "And I always remembered that I could be anybody I wanted to be and be anything I wanted to be, is if I just worked hard." And I said, "Well, you were a scholar athlete back then, so you must have, done well in school." He said, "Well, I went on to college, and I just decided I wanted to be something where I could make an impact." I said, "Well, so what are you doing?" He's an attorney. He's an attorney now. And he met his wife at law school, and they couldn't have been nicer. And so he said, "Can I get my picture taken?" I said, "Sure." So we got our picture taken. I said, "I need one of those too. I want to put this on Facebook. Good for you." So this was back. This was back in like 2002 or 2003, and it was just unbelievable. So it was like over 20 years ago. So
very similarly, that's what the Miss America opportunity is all about, is inspiring that next generation. That they can do.
You just never know, though. Like you said, all the lives at your age of 24, and I guess he was maybe he was 35. I guess he was 30. But at any rate, it was unbelievable. And so you're continuing to do the same thing, and you're only 24, for Pete's sake. So good for you.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
So much. Yeah, you never know the legacy or the impact that you're leaving on someone that really needs it.
Yeah,
well, it's so fun because I get to know a lot of single moms and their kids, single dads. And we had one lady that was super inspiring. I just want to say shout out to all of the single parents who are trying to get their education, who are doing their diligence in finding resources, just like Rhiannon just talks about with FAFSA, or what Scott does. Right. We partner with the Scott Murray Scholarship Foundation to get kids into college. But if you are a single parent in college and you're working both ends against the middle in terms of time and money and attention, both at a job and going to school and raising your parents, I just have this inspiring story to tell you just on the heels of what they're saying. There was a lady that she and her son have been in our population, a single parent advocate here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and she called me and she said, "I need to find $233 to take my bachelor's test. Can you help me put my fingers on that?" And we worked together to help her come up with the resources. She goes and takes the test. This is like at the end of the fall semester, and got her degree. So now she's got her bachelor's degree, and that was done one pebble at a time, one step at a time. Every semester, what can she do to put those pieces together? So now she's got her degree. She's also a community worker like Rhiannon's majoring in. And her son is, a big part of the kids we serve. And it just, magic is a thing and dreams are a thing, but the building blocks and the stepstones along the way don't feel like, oh, it's just this big success coming at you one time. You know, it's for both the children, certainly for you, Rhiannon, coming through this 13 years of dedication. I just really applaud you. And I just want everybody to feel inspired that you can make that kind of dream come true in your life. And, you know, don't forget to dream. Dream for yourself and dream with your children. That's a great New Year's resolution, if I ever heard one coming through these conversations.
And along with that, too, I saw a quote a couple years back when I was in the midst of these 13 locals and competing at pageant after pageant, just hoping to have the opportunity to walk the Miss Illinois stage to advocate for single families. And it said, no doesn't mean never. So just because one person's telling you no, one panel of judges doesn't think that it is your time, that does not mean that the next set doesn't think that it is your time.
Yeah, that's not always going to be the case.
Right. It doesn't mean never, and to never give up on your dreams. And another thing that I shared in my interview with the judges is to never be terrified to try, but be terrified of regret that you didn't try.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
So I want to leave that message with our families also.
Absolutely.
You know what Mr. Megorium said, don't you?
No, what did he say?
He said, your life is an occasion. Rise to it.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that too.
Yeah, that's on my personal Facebook page. I'll keep it there because I want it to remind myself, no matter if I'm in the trenches or I'm on the mountaintops, I still need to rise to that moment in time of where I'm at and find what to be grateful for, find what to latch on to. And, you know, it matters. It matters because our lives are a gift.
Never forget where you came from.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the new Miss Chicago, Rhiannon Graham.
Yay.
Boom. When you heard those words and they said your name, what did you think?
Big dramatics of covering my mouth, I was just shocked. I mean, of course, I was thanking God for this opportunity. And I mean, I looked around. You can literally see the video. I looked side to side of all the amazing young women next to me, and I went like this. I went, me? Like, you could literally see in the video me mouth me. Like, you guys want me? So like I said, it's just such a blessing. I'm so humbled for this opportunity. And I am just excited to leave the lasting impression and impact for single families in Chicago and Illinois. And I also have my crown and sash to show.
Oh, let's see it. Let us see it. Oh my goodness.
What'd your mother think? What'd your mother have to say? What were the first words out of her mouth?
She was bawling. She was bawling, Scott, just crying her eyes out. And like Stacey will have to show you that photo, and I can send them to you guys too. They're on Facebook. But I was reaching for her on stage, and she was just bawling her eyes out, jumping with joy, excited. And
it's a big win for both of you. You know, it's a big win for both of you.
Right.
Both of you have worked so hard.
I know I would have not been standing on that stage if it wasn't for all her sacrifices over the past 2 decades.
And what a wise recognition and warm recognition from you as her daughter to say we did this together. What Absolutely. An incredible dynamic you two are.
Yes. Thank you, Stacey.
What was it that you initially said umpteen years ago, you know what? I'd like to be a Miss something someday. Where did that come from? How old were you? And why did you continue to be a part of that?
Yeah, well, my mom put me in my first pageant ever when I was only 3 years old. And she did it because she just wanted to buy me a pretty dress. All the other moms in the community were doing it. And then, Scott, it honestly just stuck. It honestly just stuck with me. It became my thing, my hobby, my sport, as us pageant girls like to say. And then at 7 and 8 years old, my mom put me in the Miss Illinois Little Sister program, which is a mentoring program where a Miss mentors a little sister. I have mentored Ava the past 3 years now through the program, and I'm excited for us to go back to Miss Illinois this year. And so I looked up. I remember sitting in the audience and watching Miss Chicago be crowned, and the dream was born right there at that young age. The dream was born just watching Miss Chicago and the elegance she had, how well-spoken she was. And I remember thinking, I want to be Miss Illinois one day.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. This is just
so I'll tell you what, I'm looking at my clock to see how much. We've got about 5 minutes left in the program. So tell us about your future now. You're Miss Chicago. Someday you'd certainly like to be, maybe a year from now, Miss Illinois, and then move on to the Miss America pageant, if that's a possibility. And certainly, I think it's a great possibility. The way you handle yourself, first of all, you're adorable, but just what's upstairs. And that's,
and what's in your heart.
In your heart. That's exactly right. And that's what I was going to say. What's upstairs and what drops down into your heart every single day. So good for you. So years from now, though, when you're no longer in the pageant business, what would you like to be doing? What would you like to,
Well, I'm currently getting my master's degree online through Southern Illinois University. I just finished my first semester. I will brag on myself a little because I worked very hard with a 4.0 GPA. Woo! So that is just amazing. That was very exciting. In social work. So one day I want to open up my own nonprofit, just like my mentor here, Stacy, for single parents, but here in Illinois called Single But Not Alone, which is my community service initiative. I want to turn my platform into my career.
There you go.
Single But Not Alone. I like that. I really do.
Yep.
So, and the Scott Murray Scholarship Foundation would love to partner with you and help you out for those kids out there that need a helping hand,
yes,
living out their dreams.
Love that. We're going to have to talk. Seriously, yes. We're going to have to talk, Scott. Right. That would mean the world to us.
Yeah, that would be great.
We got to do that last year with the golf tournament.
We did.
We got to give away some scholarships to some single-parent kids in the Texas area mostly. Yeah.
Yep.
That would mean the world. Yeah, right now on our website, we've actually raised just over $500 to give out possibly 2 scholarships this coming June for 2 students of single-parent household.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, closing thoughts. What would you like to think? 3 things that come to mind. Miss Chicago, what might you share with us as 3 things that, as we begin this brand new year, and you begin the year as Miss Chicago, what is the message that you would like to share with all of America about what we need to do, how we can move forward, how we can do things in a positive, productive way, but just to make our world that we all live, that we're all a part of, just better and better every single day? 3 things that come to mind.
It's going to sound very sappy, but what's really on my heart right now is that dreams do come true. I came from a single-parent household where my mom was literally having to count quarters growing up to get milk or to put gas in the car. And now to share our story as Miss Chicago to inspire the 34 million single families out there in America is just one of my biggest, I'm going to get emotional, one of my biggest dreams come true. And as your next Miss Chicago, and hopefully your next Miss Illinois, that's the message that I want to share. That it really doesn't matter how you grew up, what your household was like, if your parents were together, if you didn't even know your parents, that you can dream it, you can do it.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Closing thoughts for us today. What would you like to share with us all? Because we've got about 2 minutes, so take it away, my friend.
Well, I'm just so excited to continue this podcast with you both. I'm so grateful for both of your support throughout this journey. I believe this podcast has been a great tool for our families to listen in while they're driving, during their free time that they don't have a lot of. But it truly has been an essential tool for our families just to not feel alone in their struggles, and that is Single But Not Alone's mission. So I thank you both for your partnership. And just love as friends, too. You guys are like distant family.
Well, I tell you what, I know I speak for Stacy as well, but we're honored to be a part of your life and see somebody that has gone through some challenging times and some challenges in her life. And look what you've done with your incredible young life. And so we're honored to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
So be a part of your special team. How about I say closing thoughts? I always like to know about closing thoughts. But do you have just a New Year's resolution this year that you're looking forward to being a part of?
Yeah, just to continue to work hard. We have Miss Illinois coming up in June here. So in these next 6 months here, I'm excited to put my best foot forward and work with all of the Miss Chicago sponsors to work on interview, talent. And I'm just really grateful and excited to do that and put my best foot forward to hopefully become your next Miss Illinois.
And here's to another 4.0 semester.
Yeah, boy, isn't that the truth? Yeah, Stacy's spot on there.
That was a huge accomplishment for me that I set at the beginning of the year to try and get straight A's, and that was just unbelievable that I was able to work with my professors and work hard for that too.
There's this thing. This is what I would say. You work hard in everything you do. That is who and how you roll, Rhiannon. But the right side and the left side of the brain in school versus in your career versus in your hobby or, your passion. The way that you can toggle back and forth and put your best foot forward in all those areas.
You got 10 seconds to answer that.
That is where I would love you to leave us. Tell us what you do. How do you go back and forth and make sure that you're taking care of that?
A good planner, and I have a paper planner. I know it sounds old school to my generation, but I keep a paper planner that keeps me organized.
Outstanding. For Rhiannon Graham, Miss Chicago.
We
and
did
Stacey,
it in 5 seconds.
I'm
Woo-hoo.
Scott. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Bye.
you got it. Be good.